The desert is vast, empty, silent, but silence can be deceiving. On a cold October night in 1997, a lone driver on Route 375, the so-called Extraterrestrial highway, vanished without a trace. His name was Daniel Carter, a 42-year-old mechanic from Reno. His truck was found abandoned, headlights still beaming into the endless Nevada darkness. His wallet sitting on the dashboard, his radio still playing static. But Daniel, he was gone. For years, the case baffled investigators. No signs of struggle, no footprints leading away from the truck. Just the eerie imprint of something massive pressing down on the dirt, a circular shape, almost like a landing site. Eyewitnesses reported strange lights that night. A local rancher swore he saw something not of this world hovering over the highway, but the official reports, classified. Then, in 2004, something impossible happened. Daniel Carter returned. He was found wandering outside a gas station near Rachel, Nevada, confused and disoriented. His clothes were the same ones he had worn the night he disappeared, untouched by time. His face, however, had changed. He had aged, but not in the way one would expect. His skin was smooth, almost unnatural. His eyes, piercing, with an eerie glow under certain lights. He spoke of visions, of being inside a cold, metallic room where entities observed him without speaking, where time folded in on itself, where reality bent like liquid. Medical tests only deepened the mystery. His blood contained microscopic, metallic fragments unlike anything found on Earth. His brain scans showed heightened activity in areas linked to perception and cognition. And most disturbingly, he no longer had a belly button. The government moved quickly, whisking Daniel away for observation. Officially, he was suffering from psychosis. But those who met him, they whispered a different story. They claimed he knew something, that he had seen things humans weren't meant to see, that the truth about Area 51 was far stranger than anyone could imagine. And then, just as suddenly as he had returned, Daniel Carter vanished again. His case remains open, his whereabouts unknown. But some say if you drive down Route 375 on a quiet night, you might hear a distant mechanical hum. You might see lights dancing over the horizon. And if you're unlucky enough, you might just disappear too, because the desert is vast, empty, silent. But silence can be deceiving. The official reports claim Daniel Carter had suffered from a fugue state, a psychological break triggered by stress or trauma. The media, eager to move on, labeled him a conspiracy theorist's wet dream, a drifter who got lost in the desert and re-emerged with a wild story. But those who met him, those who listened, knew better. His words weren't the ramblings of a lost mind. They were precise, calculated, as if he were recalling fragments of a puzzle too vast for human comprehension. He described the moment of his abduction with unsettling clarity. 1 minute, he was driving down the highway, his headlights cutting through the pitch-black desert. The next, his radio crackled, the static turning into a deep, guttural hum that vibrated through his skull. The truck lost power. The dashboard lights flickered. The air grew thick, pressing against his chest like an invisible force. And then, in a flash of blinding white, everything disappeared. He awoke in a metallic chamber, the walls smooth and seamless, emitting a faint, pulsating glow. The air smelled sterile, like ozone after a lightning strike. His body was restrained, not by shackles, but by an unseen force holding him upright. Shadows moved in the periphery, tall and thin, their elongated heads tilting unnaturally as they observed him. They had no mouths, no expressions, just large obsidian eyes that seemed to drink in every detail of his existence. What they did to him, he could barely explain. They weren't just studying his body, they were probing his mind. Memories he had long forgotten surfaced against. His will, childhood fears, hidden desires, the first time he ever told a lie. It was as if they weren't reading his thoughts, but experiencing them, living inside his consciousness like ghosts, wearing human skin. And then came the pain, a searing electric sensation that pulsed through his spine, his veins burning with an energy he couldn't comprehend. He blacked out. When he awoke again, he was somewhere else. Not in the metallic chamber, but a landscape that defied reality. The ground was solid, yet rippled like liquid when he stepped forward. The sky was an endless void, filled with shifting geometric patterns that rearranged themselves in rhythmic pulses. He wasn't alone. Other humans, dozens, maybe hundreds, stood in silent rows, their eyes blank, their bodies rigid. Some were dressed in clothing from different eras, their styles decades, even centuries apart. And above them all, suspended in the impossible sky, was a structure, a massive rotating monolith that defied gravity, its surface shifting as if it were alive. Daniel didn't know how long he was there. Time didn't exist in that place, not the way it did on Earth. Minutes felt like years, years felt like mere seconds. The entities communicated with him, but not with words. Their thoughts crashed into his mind in waves of raw, incomprehensible knowledge. He saw flashes of civilizations rising and falling, of planets consumed by their own ambition, of a cosmic order so intricate that human existence was nothing more than a single drop in an infinite ocean. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it ended. He was back in the Nevada desert, back in his old clothes. But he was different. Something had changed in him, something he couldn't put into words. His mind felt expanded, stretched, beyond human limits. He could hear things others couldn't, frequencies hidden between radio waves, whispers carried on the wind. His body, though seemingly untouched, no longer felt entirely his own. He noticed his reflection in a gas station mirror and recoiled. His pupils had become slightly elongated, his irises shifting in the light like liquid metal. And then the men in black arrived. They didn't wear name tags. They didn't ask questions. They simply took him, hauled him into a black SUV and drove him to a facility deep within the desert. He was locked away, interrogated for weeks. They asked him what he saw, what he knew, but no matter what he told them, it was never enough. He realized in those cold, fluorescent-lit rooms that they weren't trying to debunk his story. They believed him. They knew. They just wanted to know how much he had learned. Then, one night, the door to his cell opened. No guards, no alarms, just an empty hallway stretching into the unknown. A voice, one he didn't recognize yet somehow knew, whispered inside his mind, "Run." So he did. And now, he's gone. Vanished, as if he never existed. The records of his arrest, scrubbed, the few people who remember him, too afraid to speak, but every so often in the dead of night, strange signals appear on radio frequencies across Nevada, patterns, numbers, pulses. Some say it's just interference. Others believe it's something else, a message, a warning, or maybe, just maybe, a way back home. For months after Daniel Carter's second disappearance, conspiracy forums exploded with theories. Some believed he had been silenced by the government, locked away in a classified facility where no one would ever hear from him again. Others insisted he had never been human to begin with, that whatever had returned in 2004 was merely a copy of Daniel, something else wearing his face, testing the limits of human perception. But the strangest theory of all came from those who claimed to have seen him after he vanished. Truckers passing through the Nevada desert reported a lone figure standing by the roadside late at night, always in the same place where Daniel had first disappeared. A man with piercing silver eyes, watching the passing vehicles, never speaking. Some swore that when they stopped to get a closer look, he would simply fade, like static breaking apart on a television screen. And then one day, something even stranger happened. A video appeared online. It was low quality, the kind of grainy footage that looked like it had been recorded on an old flip phone. The uploader was anonymous, the location tagged simply as Nevada, USA. In the footage, a man stood in the middle of the desert facing the camera. His face was obscured by the darkness, but his voice was unmistakable. It was Daniel Carter, and what he said was chilling. They took me, and they're still watching. The things I saw, we were never supposed to know. They are not coming. They are already here. The video cut to black. It was removed within hours. Accounts that shared it were mysteriously banned. But copies spread across the dark web, analyzed frame by frame. In the final seconds, before the footage cut out, a symbol flashed on the screen, a geometric shape that didn't match any known language. Cryptographers and codebreakers attempted to decipher it, but no one could explain what it meant. Some believed it was a warning, others feared it was a summoning, and then, just as suddenly as it had surfaced, all traces of the video vanished. Links were wiped. Forums discussing it were shut down. Even those who had downloaded it found the files mysteriously corrupted. It was as if something or someone had erased it from existence. But the real terror began when the sightings increased. More people began reporting the strange man in the desert. More truckers spoke of lost time, minutes, even hours, slipping away as they drove past that lonely stretch of road. Radio signals in the area became distorted, voices whispering through the static in languages no one could recognize. And at exactly 3:33 a.m. every night, televisions in certain Nevada households would flicker on by themselves, displaying nothing. But that same geometric symbol from the video, the government remained silent. Officially, Daniel Carter never existed. But in the shadows, whispers grew louder. Some claimed he had escaped whatever facility held him, that he had seen something, so terrible it could shatter the illusion of reality itself. Others feared he was no longer one of us, that whatever had taken him had changed him, turned him into something unrecognizable. And then, one final anomaly. Satellite images taken over the Nevada desert revealed an unexplainable energy source, radiating from a location deep within the restricted airspace of Area 51, a pulse, rhythmic and unnatural. Scientists who studied the patterns found something terrifying. They weren't random. The frequency matched a known signal, a heartbeat. Daniel Carter may be gone, but something else is waking up, and now the question remains, what if he wasn't? Warning us? What if he was warning them and we were never meant to hear it? The truth is out there, but not everyone is ready to face it. Are you? If this story made you think, if it sent chills down your spine, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Do you believe in alien abductions? Have you ever experienced something unexplainable? Share your thoughts. I read every comment, and don't forget to send this to someone who needs to see it. The more people know, the harder it is to erase the truth. For more mind-blowing mysteries, check out my previous videos. They might just change the way you see the world. Or maybe they'll make you realize you were never alone to begin with.